Hey guys, Script here with another video. If you guys have been following this channel for a while, you guys all know we've discussed in previous videos that balance in the Force, what it actually is. And balance in the Force, of course, in the original 6 movies was all about the light side dominating, and that the dark side was a twisting and manipulation of the living Force, not a balancing of the Force, which is kind of a good way of looking at it, because then you still have as George Lucas always said, the good versus evil themes. And those lines are drawn quite clearly, and as Yoda says, if you start down the dark side, forever will dominate your destiny, and you will no longer be balanced. Obviously, Disney has gone totally away from this. Filoni's gone away from this. They've all rejected this, despite the fact that, Filoni is like George Lucas. He's the new George Lucas. No, he's not. Even if Lucas came around and said, oh no, we're going to change what balances the Force is, it's like, George, you made your movies based on something else. You can't just change it, right? So nobody can change it now. It's done. It's established. But Disney's going to try that anyway because they're dumb. They don't know what they're doing. Next Star Wars showrunner confirms Disney is moving away from one George Lucas idea. The Acolyte showrunner Leslie Headland will explore a major part of Star Wars, and it will go against Lucas's original idea. You can't go against it now. You can't change it now. I know Rian Johnson put the thing, the cool looking Jedi Prime thing in the temple on Ahch-To that had light and dark. You can't just do that. There's 6 movies. There's an established universe. But they just do it anyway. It's like these people just... I'll put it to you this way. So when I was a kid, I played hockey, okay? And there were always these people that wanted to change the rules of hockey. So for example, I liked hockey and played hockey. My dad liked hockey. He played hockey, right? We liked it for what it was. It was hockey. These are the rules. This is how it's played. We liked it. But there were always these people, oftentimes it were people's moms, that would complain about the rules all the time. Oh, there's too much hitting and it's too physical. And I would always be like, well, then put your kid in a different sport. Don't try to change mine. Just go do something else. And this is the same kind of thing. It's like, if you don't like the way Star Wars is, then why are you involved in it? Why are you trying to change it to what you want it to be? Why don't you just go do something else? It's like a thing in our society. I'm sorry to get philosophical here, guys. I know we're supposed to be talking about Star Wars, but it's like a thing in our society right now. It's like, instead of just leaving things alone and going and doing something you want to do, everyone just wants to change all the existing things in society to what they want. How about just go do something else? Like, it's so bizarre to me that that's the mentality of my generation. I mean, I'm in Headland's generation. This is our generation is doing, and it's so stupid. It's like, if you didn't like the way balance in the Force was in Star Wars, why didn't you go do something else? Why are you trying to change that? The Acolyte is promised to be different from any other Star Wars story that's come before it, blah, 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 blah. They're moving away from George Lucas's central ideas about the Force. Oh, because that makes perfect sense after all this time. Why would you keep the Force the same? Like, it's just idiots. Speaking to Total Film Magazine, she said, the Acolyte are taking a different approach to defining what balance in the Force looks like. Why would you do that? It's already defined. We all loved it. We don't need you to change it. Why are you trying to change Star Wars into something you like instead of just going and moving on to something else? And she claims that she was this big fan her whole life. If you're a big fan of it, why are you changing it now? Why are you changing like the constructive lore, like the most basic premise of the entire thing you're changing because you love it so much? That doesn't even make any sense. Honestly, the way I look at it is there is no light without darkness, no good without bad. There's no good without bad. No, there is absolutely good without bad. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, there are people who do very, very good things, and we don't know that they're good just because there's other people doing really crappy things. Like, we know they're good because they're good. So to me, and this might be a personal thing, the Force is about balance. See, there you go. So it's her personal perspective. So the supposed fan of Star Wars her whole life didn't really like it and wants to change it to her own personal thing about what she thinks the Force is supposed to be. I don't even think she watched the movies. You're supposed to destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force, not join them. Did you watch Revenge of the Sith, Leslie? And all you new fans, and I've had people on Twitter argue with me as well, that's not what balance is. I know it's hard for you to grasp, because you just think about it in the most basic terms you could possibly think of it. All you can think about is white and black. You have no nuance to your thought. But balance in Star Wars is the absence of the dark side. The Force is balanced when people aren't manipulating and twisting it and using it for their own selfish gain. Then it is balanced. I know it's hard to understand for some people, but that's the way it is. But again, make Star Wars what I want instead of what it actually is. Meh. It's not just a Marvel superpower. You guys are turning Star Wars into Marvel by making it all about power. I've been saying this in other videos too. That's what made the ending of Return of the Jedi so awesome, is that Luke didn't use power. He used love. He threw his lightsaber away. He was prepared to die. That's the greatest strength of the Jedi, is actually their caring for other people, not their force power. You guys are the ones making it about power. Rey is a superhero that has more power than Palpatine and defeats him, right? It wasn't love, it was power. And in your own trailer for the Acolyte, it's all about power and who gets to wield it. That's all you guys care about. So you're the ones that are making it a Marvel superhero IP when you already have Marvel. I've been saying that all along. Like, do something different. They're not. You're doing the same thing they do in Marvel movies. Oh, this show is going to be a complete disaster. The Force sensitives aren't using telekinesis because they're special, powerful people. It's because they achieved balance. No, it's not necessarily. Some of them it is. But if you're using the dark side, you're not balanced. You're manipulating the Force for your own wants. Like, this is not hard to understand. I don't get why people are so stupid. But by the way, just so you guys all know, this is totally Filoni. Because this is what Filoni told the cast of Rebels. Freddie Prinze Jr., right? He did the voice of Ezra or somebody, or Kanan, I think. And he was in an interview and he said, this is what Filoni thinks balance in the Force is literally like a black and white checkerboard floor. That's as deep as he can possibly get with it. And so Leslie Headland's just following suit. And everyone thinks Filoni is like the mini George. No, he's not. He's a total hack, you guys. As Yoda says, my ally is the Force. So the idea of a separation from that was really interesting. If you are unbalanced, the Force cannot protect you. The Force doesn't protect balanced people either. Qui-Gon Jinn died. Qui-Gon Jinn died. He was very balanced in the Force. Right? Obi-Wan died. He was very balanced in the Force. Like, none of this is making any sense. These people know nothing about Star Wars, and yet they're running the show. Oh, in the original prequel trilogies, George Lucas viewed the dark side of the Force as the cause of imbalance in the Force, obviously. Lucas described true balance of the Force in 2010 when he said that what happens when you go to the dark side is it takes you out of balance and then you get really selfish. Yeah, that's the whole freaking point. And Dave Filoni doesn't buy into that. And that is literally the essence of Star Wars. If you take that away, it's a power versus power Marvel superhero, Leslie. I'm sorry, you're turning it into that. Like, it's so Bush League. And then to have George Lucas say we don't want amateurs handling Disney, when these people are doing the opposite of what you said, George. These people are amateur hour. They don't even know anything about Star Wars. They don't know about what you said about balance. Not even Dave. Headland's view of the balance of the Force directly contradicts that belief, as her quote mentioned that there is no light without darkness. It's an interesting take on the issue of balance, but it's not exactly novel, as Star Wars has been re-examining that central conflict for years now. George started a lot of this too. When he did the Bendu, and he did a lot of stuff in Clone Wars, he caused a lot of these issues too. However, I would also say he didn't go all the way, though. He drew a line in the sand when you had the Mortis gods, where the father pleads with the son who represents the dark side not to use the dark side, or things would get out of balance and he would die, and he ended up killing himself. So George did start this ball rolling, but he did rein it in enough that it remained sort of what the definition was always about. But again, you can't change this. You cannot change this. This is the first 6 episodes of Star Wars. You can't change what balance is now. You just can't. Since Lucas stepped away from Star Wars and Disney took over, the idea of balance in the Force has been shifting. Balance in the Force is now much more about mastering both the dark and the light, and it can be seen in several different areas of the franchise. One of the main areas it was displayed was in the sequel trilogy through Rey Skywalker and Kylo Ren's Force dyad, a connection between light and dark side users that granted them immense strength. Wrong. See, again, this is where this whole idea breaks down. Because they try to portray that they're a Force dyad because he's dark and Rey is light. Here's the problem. When Ben turned back to the light and they confronted Palpatine, they were still a dyad and he still sucked their power. I don't know how he did that when he's all decrepit and they're so powerful. That's another whole stupid issue with Disney. But how could they still be a dyad if they're both light? See? They don't know what they're doing. They're just making it up as they go along, and they don't understand what they're doing. It can't be dark versus light balance in a dyad, and then he switches to the light, and now they're still a dyad if they're both light. That doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. All of this is stupid. Oh, Disney is so stupid. Lucas's interpretation of the Force shouldn't have given them special powers for blending both sides. It would have been weakened them both by causing imbalance. Yes, another great example of Disney's new definition of balance comes from Ahsoka in The World Between Worlds. Ahsoka is visited by Anakin's Force ghost. The main difference is Anakin's portrayal there was that he had grown significantly by balancing both sides of his identity. His strength in the light as Anakin and his strength in the dark as Vader. He wasn't strong as Vader in terms of, like, spiritual strength. He was just a thug. These people, I think it's because people just have no sense of the spiritual side of life, that they can't see anything other than physical stuff. They just can't. The idea of balancing both sides of the Force isn't entirely new, though, as George Lucas's definition of balance seemed to be evolving just before his departure from the franchise. Okay, and they're actually bringing up the Mortis gods. There you go. Lucas was directly involved in the Mortis gods, 3 powerful entities. In particular, the Father represented a very different view of the Force, one where light and dark have to live in harmony, and neither side overtaking the other. Yes and no, I already discussed this, except for the fact that the Son did use the dark, which caused imbalance, which made the Father kill himself, and yeah. So that's not entirely true. Like I said, George did push it a bit, but he did rein it in enough that the definition did still remain. So yeah, they're just completely inept. They just keep digging the hole. Just keep digging it. Dig it deeper. Bury it. Diggy dig. Just keep digging the hole, guys. I can't believe that this is going on, and I'm more just shocked at how many fans actually buy into this nonsense. And I don't know how they can watch the original films and take anything out of it other than the original definition and sit there and say that that's what balance is. It doesn't even make any sense. The whole Anakin's entire arc is showing you what the dark side does to somebody, and it ruins them as a person. It turns them from a innocent child who's a good kid to a total piece of garbage that just kills everybody all the time. Like, it literally is an illustration of imbalance, like, to be on the dark side. This show is going to suck. It's going to be a total disaster. I'm calling it now. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think about all of these different things we just discussed. And if you like this content, please like and subscribe. It always helps the channel. And feel free to check anything else on my channel, you guys, and have a really good day.